All right, welcome to Loop City. I'm your host, Mike Skills. The entire squad is here. We got Gonzo, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toll, and Radremm. Let's get in. Today we're recapping the game ones that have played so far, and we're making predictions for game two, plus a rundown of this week's sneakers releases. Full disclosure, we are taping this right now at 6:30 Pacific times, 9:30 Eastern time, so we don't know what's happening in the Suns Pelicans game. So by the time you hear this, you will know we won't. So without further ado, I want to set it off with the first game of the discussion, which was the best game of the weekend. We want to talk about Celtics Nets. And I'm gonna open this up. Whoever wants to take this, what is the biggest takeaway from game one?
You got it, Pete.
For me, I was actually surprised Kevin Durant shot so poorly, but Kyrie Irving picked it up. Really exceeded my expectations because with Kyrie being in and out of the lineup all year, I wasn't sure kind of what to expect with Kyrie coming in. Pretty much the Nets, in my opinion, had to come out, all cylinders firing. With Boston, they just matched it right from the get-go. I think the rebounding difference with Boston is what kind of gave the difference to me because you got Al Horford, who pretty much, in my opinion, turned back the clock as far as, his performance on the boards, scored 20 points to go with 15 rebounds. Jason Tatum was poised. I had a question about Tatum just with his shot selection in the moment. Sometimes we know he can get kind of shot happy and not really looking for teammates, but he had 8 assists to go with the 31 points. Really looked good. Jaylen Brown stepped up as well. So it was just an all-out effort for Boston, whereas I thought with Brooklyn, they needed more, especially from somebody like a Patty Mills off the bench. You got a little bit from Seth Curry, not enough, but Patty Mills is a guy that look going forward needs to step up and give you more. Less Dragic, more Patty Mills, and Patty Mills needs to be aggressive.
Yeah, that was I thought that was the big thing about Brooklyn. It looked like KD was struggling, and I want to ask you, Gonzo, was KD struggles? Do you think it was just an off day or a combination of the Celtics defense, which has been historic since January 1st?
I think it's a combination of both. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Al Horford. Whenever he got caught in the switches, he was roughed up pretty bad today. I think that affected his shooting. It also forced him to rush a lot of shots, like the shot right before I think Jason Tatum's layup at the end of the game. Kevin Durant kind of rushed that shot. He did a lot of ISO dribble, and then the way they were kind of like going into his body, he just kind of decided to just take a deep fadeaway. But I still have hope for the Brooklyn Nets for this reason. You had 3 guys scoring 20 plus points. Al Horford turned back the clock. Might not get another game like that to that degree from Al Horford again. KD shot poorly, and Kyrie Irving had a great game, which we know he can probably duplicate again. But you only had 2 guys to really show up on the Nets like they did. And I'm not saying when I say show up, Nick Claxton showed up.
Absolutely,
he showed up obviously, but we're saying like at an elite level, we had 2 guys. If KD happens to shoot a little bit better in this game, they win this game. That's just how close this game was. The Celtics had to perform like this to win by 1 point. And I have a problem with 2 things, though, with the Nets. And I don't know if it's something with Nick Claxton's hands, but this guy's hands are so small. He's always missing lobs. And I like Claxton. I think he's a good player, but whenever he gets a lob, he's always bobbling the rebound. And I'm like, is this guy's hands little? Because he's always missing a rebound. And if the Nets can't get Ben Simmons back, I would love for LaMarcus Aldridge, if he can come back just for 10 or 15 minutes in a game, that would kind of change their offense a little bit more because they won't be able to double down on KD and Kyrie like they want to, and they'll leave him another shooter. Because I think Seth Curry in this series, with the matchup with Boston, I think he's too small.
Yeah.
and he's not strong enough.
Absolutely.
Like Marcus Smart, he's 6'4", but he's built like a football player. He'll manhandle Seth Curry and wear him down. Jaylen Brown is manhandling KD and is wearing him down. The difference is Kyrie might actually be the best player in this series due to the fact, and I'm not talking about defensively, I'm talking about on the offensive end.
Mm-hmm.
On the offensive end of the ball, I don't think they have anyone who can guard him one-on-one. And I'm tired of the Kyrie slander. I know he has his own beliefs.
Yeah.
He has whatever that is. That has nothing to do with his style of basketball. The guy is one of the most skilled players. If he was 6'5" or 6'6",
oh yeah,
we'll be talking about him being like another Kobe or Mike because he's a killer.
Oh,
guy
without
can play
a doubt.
basketball.
Without a doubt, we love Kyrie. There's no slander about Kyrie's game. Everything off the court is the issue. And even right now, you look at the headlines post this game, there are two headlines. Celtics win at the buzzer, and Kyrie flips the bird to fans. It's like, dude had 39, about 9 assists, some rebounds, maybe a steal or two, and we're talking about him flipping the bird. Like that was almost a masterpiece of the game, just 1 point short of the win. So, I mean, Matt, I got to go to you, man. I got to ask you this. And piggyback on what Gonzo said. Without Robert Williams and without Hartford doing a throwback to his Atlanta days, I got a question. How do the Celtics replicate that gang rebounding that they had today? And a second part of that, because I know you love Ben Simmons, should they even roll the dice of bringing him back?
Well, first, I want to go to the Kyrie thing. He's going to get time, but I love how I'm going to replicate this for everybody who eventually sees this on YouTube. He did the middle finger thing, but he did it behind his head, which I thought that's extremely creative.
I mean, you can't do that in an arena of 20,000 people.
But it was
somebody's going to see it.
He knew the camera was on him, and he went behind his head.
Yeah.
The middle finger thing. I caught that. I peeped that. Yes. Man, with Ben Simmons, like, the back stuff is tough, especially with the herniated disc. Now, I know the medical stuff has come a long ways because we remember, all four of us are going to remember because we're all damn near, we're 40, we're almost 40. We're all, we're OGs now. We all remember back in 93, 94 when Larry Johnson had the herniated disc, and we saw what, he was an all-star 1 year after that, and the medical stuff wasn't the same. But you don't want to play with back injuries. I mean, if the doctors clear him and Ben Simmons says he's good to go, he hasn't played in what's it been, Pete? About a year?
About 11 months.
It's been about a year. If he's ready to go and the doctors have clear him, but I don't think you play him a ton of minutes because NBA playoff minutes are different than regular season minutes. You know what I mean?
The defense of intensity of Boston against Simmons' back, because you got to think Simmons isn't just going to get natural jumpers. That's not who he is. He's going to drive in transition and all those herky-jerky movements, shots close to the basket, whether it's a hook shot, anything like that. A small little hook could tweak his back.
Absolutely.
And he's back down.
Absolutely. So I'm going to trust the medical guys. If he's good to go, I don't think they're going to throw him out there if they think he's just going to do some severe damage to everything. But I want to say some things, and Pete mentioned a couple of things here that I actually have in my notes here. I got my notes. Yes. Jason Tatum's passing this afternoon, this evening, wherever, whatever time it is. His passing was exceptional tonight.
Yeah.
He was very good with the passing.
Shot selection, too.
Yes. And to KD, I noticed in the first quarter, we all know, I think he finished with 6, maybe 7 turnovers, but I think it was 6. But 5 of them came in that first quarter. And if you notice, and I noticed this in the Miami game against the Hawks, which we'll get in there, but the Celtics did the same thing in this Nets game. The help defense was fantastic. Every time KD got in the paint, put it on the floor, there was another help side hand coming in. They were just poking the ball from him. They were knocking it away. You know what I mean? And he had 5 turnovers in the first quarter. That can't happen. And yes, as Greg said, I think Nick Claxton, great rebounding, finishing around the rim. He was fantastic today. The hands. I mean, you're not expecting a great game out of him. But I wanted to talk about this. And I saw it in the Bulls game. You know, I forgot who it was, but someone got away with it. KD makes the shot. They called a little push-off foul. I won't lie. I thought it was horse, S-H-I-T. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to spell it.
Oh, I think you're talking about the Giannis rebound over, I think it was over Patrick Williams that they called.
And then
a foul.
I think Tatum, and then there was another play in the Celtics game where you saw, but that call on Kevin Durant, I thought was, you know, horse, S-H-I-T. I'm watching my language.
Horse Dookie.
I'm doing better. But
when you say Dookie.
Yeah. I thought that was garbage, man. And then the last possession, I have to talk about this. As a basketball coach, that closeout on Marcus Smart was terrible. 2 guys run out at him. He throws a shot fake up, and they jump and flying through the air.
But think of the scouting report. A year ago, was he shooting that 3 going hero ball?
Yeah, but he's not a great shooter. That's the
right.
point. I know he makes clutch shots, but
right.
They had 2 guys running.
Yeah.
He throws it up, and kudos to Marcus Smart. He makes his move. He finds the pass to Jason Tatum. Great spin move for the layup. But that closeout was awful.
They were giving him the Steph Curry love, and that's perfect because this is a transition to the Warriors Nuggets, which was an amazing game last night. Until it was evident that the Nuggets showed up with a knife to a gunfight. They just did not have enough. Without Jamal Murray, without Porter, they just don't have enough. And that's fair. You know, no one's going to fault them for that. But it became apparent that the Warriors are just going to have their way in this series. And so I want to ask, how brilliant was it a move of Steve Kerr to bring Curry off the bench and build Jordan Poole's confidence as a starter in his first playoff game?
More so, how amazing is it to see a superstar like Steph Curry take a back seat? Like that's the biggest thing, because most stars are like, "Nah, man, you gonna bounce back to the bench." Like, and he took that, took it in stride, and that just shows, even more kudos for Steph and just ultimate respect. Like, I mean, I like the dude off the court, just his personality and what he does, but that just shows he's all about truly winning. And that team just coming together is all about really doing whatever it takes to win. Jordan Poole, the second half of the season was phenomenal. After, he had games here or there where he'd put up 28 and then kind of disappear, things like that. But he took it to another level second half of the season to go 9 for 13 from the field for 30 points. And it wasn't just threes. Like how he played last year, it was all just pull-up shots, things like that. This time he gets to the rim, getting to the free throw line. I mean, he really, really showed a lot of flashes throughout the game. And it really takes the pressure off of Klay Thompson coming back, because now Klay Thompson does not have to be that second guy. He can go and be the third guy. Yes, he can obviously step up and be the second guy anytime he wants to. But now there's not pressure to take 20 shots in a game and say, I have to will us to a win. It also takes pressure off of a guy like Andrew Wiggins of, hey, you got to step up and play a game that you're not accustomed to on the offensive side. He can focus more on the defensive end of things. Draymond, obviously the anchor on defense. And Jordan Poole plays well off of Draymond. So all those things went really well. What, disappointed me with Denver is, yes, they have Jokic, who I think is the MVP just based on not having Murray and Porter Jr. Obviously Murray for the whole year and Porter Jr. for most of it, but nobody else on that team is doing anything.
Nope, not at all.
I mean, where's Aaron Gordon? We have the Jeff Green that doesn't show up, every other season. Of course, this season's the year he decides not to do anything. You had flashes of Monte Morris, but that's not enough to carry you as a second guy. And then you're looking at Bones Highland. He's a rookie. Like he's not gonna do a ton right now. Nor is Mike Malone going to trust him in a top tier situation. And there's nobody else really on that team that's an offensive juggernaut that's going to step in and take some of that load off of Jokic. So I think it's going to be a pretty quick series for Golden State at this point, unfortunately for Denver.
Absolutely. And Pete, you're a movie guy. So I felt like, and you can probably think of a Western to name, like, give me a Western that describes how Jokic was in that game last night. Just everyone's gunning around him and he's just by himself. Like, I guess I got to do it myself. You know what I'm saying?
Josie Wales.
I mean, it was like a spaghetti Western without it being in Italy. It was in San Francisco. So, Gonzo, I'm going to ask you this, man. Is Jordan Peele the new third Splash Brother or Splash Brother Jr.? You know what I'm saying? Is he like not a full member, but, you know, maybe on an audition, you know, maybe on a temporary base, like he got a visitor badge?
Well, I'm gonna say it like this: he's filled out the application, and now he's like on his second or third interview, and he's very close to being that guy. I mean, I expected the Warriors to win. You got all your guys back. Steph, commendable. I commend Steph for taking the back seat and allowing the sixth man on your bench to come in and get hot early, knowing you can get your shot whenever you need to.
Absolutely.
Whenever you want to. That's leadership. Yes. And he really cares about winning. But, I mean, the Nuggets really have no chance. It's like, I mean, I understand the David and Goliath story, but let's be real. I mean, David had the Lord working with him, you know, so that ain't the case here. This is basketball. So Jokic is probably going to need Jesus to help him with this one, because there's no way he's going to beat the Warriors with the firepower and the coaching that they have.
If only the game was on Easter Sunday and not Easter Saturday, maybe he would have got some help. Like,
yeah, but it's not going to happen. I feel bad for him. I mean, I feel bad for him because he made it this far and had a great season. And to come and possibly lose in his first round against a team like that with no help. I mean, it's a great job. It just goes to show you that a superstar needs another guy. He does. You can't do it alone. It's just not going to happen. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what people think that, you know, this one guy can carry this huge load. It's just too difficult, especially in today. I mean, even in past NBA, especially in today's NBA, the way teams are, you know, the way teams team up and, you know, just the way things are, it's very difficult to win alone.
So are we in agreement that this is probably going to be a quick series sweep?
Yeah. Nuggets, I mean, not Nuggets, but the Warriors, they'll be going home early, getting a lot of rest to hopefully beat on somebody else the next round.
I'll give Denver one game. Yeah. One game.
So we got a gentleman sweep. Are we all in agreement on a gentleman sweep?
I'm going with a sweep.
And I'm going to ask you this one thing, Matt. Did at a little point during the game last night, when that crowd was roaring and it felt like they were back at Oracle again, this is their first game in the Chase Center. You know, if you kind of squint, did it feel like the Warriors from 2015 through 2019-ish? Was it kind of cozy Warriors?
Maybe, but I think I want to say this before we go on, because we got to talk about Jordan Poole. It is a travesty of justice he was not in the final three for most improved player. I want to say that right off the bat. That's a travesty of justice to me.
I did not know that.
We all love John Morant. He was rookie of the year. He's been he should come on.
Yeah, he shouldn't be a finalist in that.
No.
He goes by one name.
Morant is great. John Morant should be in that top 5 to 7 in the MVP conversation, not most improved. I want to get that out of the way. But I see where you're going with this, Mike Skills. I agree. I mean, a little bit, you know, and we've seen the makings of a new, I don't want to say death lineup, if you will.
But flashes of what they could be.
It's a little different because the death lineup before, you had Andre Iguodala with the defense, the playmaking, but this one, it's basically you've got you've got Steph, you've got Clay, you've got Jordan Poole, you have Wiggins and Draymond, right? So it's a little different, but you see the makings of a possible new death lineup, if you will. I don't know how well it's going to work, and I see it all the time on Twitter. I do not like all these. I see a lot of Warriors fans go at Andrew Wiggins. What are you going at him for? He's going to guard the best player on the other team, the best offensive player, unless it's a big man, of course.
Right.
Wiggins isn't going to guard Jokic. But if they're playing the Nets, he's guarding Kevin Durant, for example. He doesn't shot hunt. He's not a ball pounder. He's just going to take his shots and do what he does. And I love what the Warriors are doing. And I think most of us are probably going to be in agreement. We think it's going to be a rematch of the finals from last year. However, I don't think there's one person on this of four of us and Rad who's going to, if the Warriors get to the finals, none of us are going to be shocked.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're not going to be shocked. They're great defensively. They're a top 5 defense. Even with the injuries to Draymond Green, they are still a top 5 defense. Mm-hmm. And Draymond Green was fantastic last night.
Oh,
and
virtual.
He's making shots. He was aggressive offensively to the level you want him to be. No, we don't want Draymond Green taking 15, 20 shots. The three was if they left him, he was taking it. He was driving to the basket. He was getting dunks. And that's what you want to see out of this basketball team.
And he was conducting, and to piggyback on your point, Draymond was conducting the offense. He was out there like, yo, come get this shot. And I think the play that sums up Draymond was he was trying to get people open, and he realized the shot clock was down to like 3 and was like, all right, I got to jack this up. And he hits the 3, and you just see the life just drain from Jokic. Like, Jokic, bless him, man, because he was doing everything he could. And in that moment, he was like, even Draymond hitting threes, man. Yes. Like, and going from one, piggybacking from that to another conductor, I got to go to Pete because you're our resident Philadelphia guy. You got Cunningham, Lindros, and AI behind you hanging up on the wall, which anyone that knows anything about sports, not just Philly sports, knows those are icons, not legends, icons. So how long before Maxey gets his statue facing Rocky out there? And was this game 1 performance something or nothing for the Sixers? All right, we're gonna hold on for 1 sec. I'll mark it at this point, and I'll go ahead and edit it, and I'll get my hammer dance on.
I unmuted my mic, because I know you.
All right. Yeah. Hey, so, Matt, I'm going to go ahead and ask you real quick.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you this question. Ken Harden, what are his keys to exercising his playoff demons?
Just come up big in the big games. Essentially, just coming up big in the big games. And I'm going to keep it simple, and then we can go back to Pete. I mean, we saw what happened. What was it? Was it 2017, I think?
I mean, he has a long laundry list of demons.
I'm specifically saying this because this is the one that comes to mind. They're playing San Antonio, and there were injuries, and it was like, wait a second, and he just didn't show up.
Oh, you're talking about after Ginobili blocked him, and then they had game 6, and it was just
all that whole injuries and that. Yeah, and I think that's all. Like, James Harden is older now. He is not the same guy he was. So 5 years ago, look, father time, and nobody's going to hold that against him. He's coming off the hamstring injury last year into this season, and we understand that. But us, as an old man, I understand that. So I'm not going to hold that against him. But I just think he just has to. I think he played really. I think he showed up in game 1. To me, he had the assists, but it's just we don't want to see the. Like in that Spurs series, it was like he was afraid to shoot in that big game. That's what we don't want to see.
Yeah, you can't be a superstar and be afraid.
Don't be gun shy. Look, you got Joel Embiid. We know he's going to show up, but don't be gun shy. And and people agree on this, we need Tobias Harris to show up as well. He needs to play basketball.
Oh, yeah.
He showed up well in the first game. Sorry about that, fellas.
Exactly, yes.
That's what I get for wireless headphones that decided to die right in the middle of going to me.
Go ahead, Pete, man.
You good. Go ahead. Tell us about Maxey. Was that game one?
Oh, man. Maxey.
You like what you saw?
I mean, look, he's one of the fastest players in the NBA, bar none. And you put him in a situation to where he was able to thrive off of James Harden, who played the facilitating role. Harden has 14 assists. He, the good thing about Harden is he didn't really show. He showed a little bit that he was he might be, pushing a half step slow. But as far as assists and timing and just knowing where to get guys, put Maxey in the perfect position. There was a play, I believe it was in the third quarter, to where Harden had pretty much a wide open three, said, nope, I'm going to dish it off to a wide open Maxey over in the corner. Maxey buries the three, and, just the crowd goes nuts. But going forward, flipping it to the Toronto side, what are they going to get out of Gary Trent Jr.?
Yeah.
He can't go 2 for 11 because it's not like, yes, Danny Green's out there, good defender. You've got Matisse Thybulle, obviously, but you're not going to have Thybulle for 2 games. So now is the time where Gary Trent's got to kind of get himself prepped for, all right, I know game 3 and 4, we're going to be at home and, we'll be able to maybe, get a win or two to where he can knock down shots and put up, 28 points a game, like he did at a couple points during the season. Now, looking at Toronto, they may be down Scotty Barnes for the entire rest of the series, and that's a huge blow because his versatility on the boards, just facilitating as a point forward, and then just around the rim, just being able to score, and then just defensively inside, giving you another presence. Because I'm not high on Pascal Siakam as far as stepping up night in, night out consistently, both offensively and defensively. You're either going to get a load of offense with not a ton of defense, but you're not going to get both consistently. And then guys like Precious Achiuwa, yeah, he's shown flashes off the bench, but he's a guy that, to me, if I'm the Sixers, I'm going to let him shoot all day because he showed a couple times that he, put up questionable shots. And if I'm Embiid, I'm like, man, this is the defense I've got to go against. Pascal Siakam inside, who I have a considerable height and weight difference, and now Precious Achiuwa, who can't even bang inside.
Yeah.
So pretty much it makes it easy on James Harden, force feed Embiid, and then let Embiid kind of play out of the post and get Tobias involved, and then let Maxey do his thing sprinting off of cuts, and then in transition. And I had the Sixers, this is before the Scotty Barnes injury, the Sixers winning in 7 because I thought, wow, Toronto matches up pretty well across the board. But now I think it might be 5 games without Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Toronto. They're looking kind of bleak. And I got to ask Gonzo, like, from what you saw yesterday, was there any indicator that Toronto is going to show up in this series? Like, what did you see that maybe we missed?
I just think that overall, Philadelphia has the 3 better players. I think Harden's obviously a proven veteran. He has a rough playoff history, but I think with the Joel Embiid, it doesn't have to be that way because you got a go-to guy. You got a big guy who's dominant, and he's very, very good. He's a potential Hall of Famer. With the emergence of Tyrese Maxey now as a possible third option, this just makes your team that much better. One thing I like about Maxey is that Maxey doesn't have this fear.
Yes.
I don't think he's nervous about the big moment. He kind of wants this moment. And honestly, since James Harden had those first few games back with Philadelphia, and he looked like, he's back to old James Harden. I think James Harden's a little out of shape. But I also think that Tyrese Maxey, I think that he can actually excel right now in this, to be honest. So I'm really into seeing what he can do. Uh, I'm really seeing what he's in, seeing what he can into seeing what he can do for this team more. I love Maxey. I think the series is over now that Scotty Barnes is out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a death blow. When I saw that injury, like, first of all, we're all fans of basketball, and regardless of what team we're rooting for, you don't want to see anybody get hurt. And when you see a guy writhing in pain on the floor, it just sucks the life out of the game, because you want to see teams go head to head at full strength and lose on the court. Not like, oh, well, that guy's missing, this guy's out, if this guy wasn't injured, if this guy hadn't got suspended or whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to ask this question really quick. And this is actually going straight to our next transition, and it's Mavs Jazz. Now, we're going to address the elephant in the room. There's no Luka for game 2. Luka missed game 1. How can the Mavs tie the series without Luka in game 2? What can they replicate from that first game?
The one thing I noticed in the first half of game 1, the offensive rebounds were there, but I think the overall offensive rebounding and the size of Utah is kind of what swung everything. So I think it's going to be tough because you have Rudy Gobert. He's obviously one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Hassan Whiteside off the bench, another great rebounder, shot blocker, just like Rudy Gobert, who's one of the best shot blockers in the league, rim protectors. They're just going to have to give even more effort because the Mavericks are small. The only 7-footer they have is Boban, who we all love. We love Boban.
Yeah, but Boban,
he's not going to play.
I had more minutes than Boban in game 1, I think.
Yeah, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. I think they're going to have, and another thing I noticed with the Mavericks in that game, and you could say the same thing for the Jazz. In fairness, a lot of wide open shots were missed.
Yes.
If the Mavericks want to hold on, and they had a chance, look, I get it. Donovan Mitchell went nuts in the second half. The percentages they are, but I mean, what do you have? 30? Hey, Pete, what was it? 30 in the second half?
Yeah, 30. I think he had
30, 32 in the second
36.
half of that basketball game.
Yeah. He had 30 plus in the second half.
Exactly. You can't let that happen. You did a really good job on him in the first half, but I think that's just what it's going to take without Luka Doncic, because Luka's the guy that makes, obviously we know what he is. He's one of the best 5 players in the league. What makes everything work with Luka Doncic is now you have Spencer Dinwiddie who can come off the bench and be that secondary guy or that primary guy when Luka's out of the game. Where before, all you have is Jalen Brunson. And that's where we're at right now. We're back to square one. You have Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie without Luka Doncic. So you have 2 guys, and it just puts so much pressure. And kudos to Dwight Powell. I think Dwight Powell has been absolutely fantastic this season. Coming off the torn Achilles, kudos to him. He's been great. But they're going to need Luka Doncic unless if they're going to make threes, if guys are going to, and Pete, I think you will agree with this. Josh Green, we love him defensively. He has to make the open threes.
He missed everything. And he was wide open in the corner. The easiest shot to make.
Exactly. If Josh Green can make the open 3, even without Luka, this becomes interesting. But you see what I'm saying, Pete? It comes down to really that. Because we, like you and I agree, we like Josh Green defensively.
Yeah,
he's going to do what he does defensively, but it's the open 3. They're putting Rudy Gobert on him.
But at that point, with Green missing so much, and even though yes, he is a good defender, Sterling Brown's a above average defender as well, and he can knock down that 3. And he's 6'5", I believe. 220, 230. So, I mean, he's versatile enough that he can come in and give you those 11 and 12 minutes as well. Dallas was only 9 for 32 from 3.
Yeah.
It's not going to cut it. Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie have to be better on both sides of the ball. Dinwiddie and Brunson have to take care of the ball. They have to initiate the offense quicker. They have to be able to drive and get into the chest of Gobert. And yes, Gobert obviously can block shots, but if you get deep into his chest consistently, that's going to rattle him to the point where you might draw a foul or two, take him out of the game. Then they don't really have that much rim protection, because we all know Hassan Whiteside and his mental lapses throughout his career.
Yes.
So, I don't count on him long-term, to be effective defensively, night in, night out, but they've got to hit more threes. They've got to have Davis Bertans hit threes. They've got to have Dorian Finney-Smith take more shots. Reggie Bullock, that's what you're out there for.
Yeah.
Shoot threes, take more threes. I would rather you take, 50 threes in the game, and at least give yourself a better chance to win, because without Luka, you don't really have, somebody challenging different aspects of areas on the floor as much. So it kind of helps Utah's game plan. So if you can kick it, or if you can drive and then kick it and then spread the ball out on the perimeter by extra passes and get guys wide open, what if you have Sterling Brown in the corner instead of Josh Green, and, 3 out of those 4 threes go in? That's a difference maker at different impact points of the game. I think that for Utah's side, Bogdanovich is not going to be as hot as he was next game, I don't think. I mean, yes, they always rely on Donovan Mitchell, but I want guys like Royce O'Neal and Bogdanovich to consistently beat me. I don't want to, go ahead and Donovan Mitchell, you can have your 30 to 40 points, whatever. I'm going to focus on shutting the other guys down. And then that's how I think Dallas can effectively go without Luka for now, because he's definitely out for the next game. And we'll see for game 3.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Luka has already been ruled out of game 2 on Monday. So Dallas will have to go at it without him. And Gonzo, I'm going to ask you this. What can you hang your hat on if you're Dallas looking at the game film, realizing that you were still in this game at the end?
The fact that we missed shots, and the fact that we held Rudy Gobert to 1 basket attempt. I think it was 0 for 1 the whole game on offense.
He only took 1 shot?
Yes, 1. Like that lets me know that we can stop this guy and we don't have to worry about him. He's going to get the rebounds because he's tall, obviously, but we can get a bunch of guys to score. We can probably get 6, 7, 8 guys to score 10 points apiece and still possibly win this game. Because guess what? We know Rudy Gobert being 7 foot plus, we know he's not going to do any damage on the offensive end. He's not somebody we even have to worry about. And we can get away with Donovan Mitchell going 10 for 29 shoot. And we still have a chance to win. At this point, it's just knocking down shots. It just bothers me that all these years, Utah, we talking about them possibly being a team that could make it to the Western Conference Finals or to the championship. And Rudy Gobert, as great as a defender he is, he does nothing on offense. And I've been saying this for years. I call him Rudy Yogurt on offense because we know on offense he's not going to do anything, and he's going to be soft as putty. He's not going to abuse people with that height. You don't have to be the strongest guy, but at 7'1", if you've done all that on the defensive end in the paint, you could do nothing on offense in the paint. You can't even get 15 points consistently. 1 shot attempt. Yeah. One thing I can hang my hat on is that I know if I'm the Mavericks, we can beat this team in round 1. And if we can make it out of round 1, we get our captain back.
Rudy Gobert. Wow, Rudy Gobert.
It's just come on. It's just come on. It's sad. One shot attempt.
Somebody put that on the shirt. I need that in an extra large
shot attempt. That's terrible.
He only took 1 shot.
Yeah,
one shot.
Wow.
But in fairness, he's not a creator, so
right. But in full disclosure, I went to the Clippers-Pels play-in game on Friday, and Larry Nance Jr. had like 16 and 17, and most of his points were putbacks off of offensive rebounds. So when you're telling me the biggest man on the court, what is he, 7'4", got one shot the entire 48 minutes, that's kind of telling, man. Matt, what did you have?
I want to say this. I have a slight pushback on G there, because Rudy Gobert is a big man. They have to pass him the ball. There were many times they missed him on his dives. And we've seen the whole thing. We've seen the
Mitchell won't pass to.
Exactly, Pete.
But I saw it where he had his hands up 2 different instances. I mean, literally eye contact to his face, Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell dribbled around and wouldn't pass to him.
Yeah,
so it was kind of like, well,
I don't want to put this all on Donovan Mitchell either. He's not the only one who has the basketball in his hands.
But they don't like each other.
Jordan Clarkson ain't passing. Come on now.
No, well, that's not his job. We know. Hey, even on the Lakers, wasn't he like? I mean, I love Kobe, but Kobe's like mini Mamba and all that.
No, he's a Kobe disciple.
Absolutely.
He getting the rock. He's shooting that mug.
I don't expect Jordan Clarkson to pass, but I just think the whole thing with Gobert, they don't give him the basketball, so one shot is not all on him. Some of it, yes, because not everybody loves him offensively, but at the same time, one shot. That's on his teammates. It's not like he's bringing the basketball up the floor.
That is true. But if we dive into the stat sheet and we see he has 5 or 6 offensive rebounds, I want to see the footage in context to see, like, is he pulling a Ben Simmons where he's at the rim and he's like, oh, I should find somebody.
Or no, I don't think that's the case.
Gonzo brought up a good point. Roy Hibbert.
He's been making these free throws. I don't think that's
true.
The case at
all. He went where the game kind of passed him by, and he just, I don't know, he got the yips or what happened, but he just faded away very quickly.
Yeah, and I was talking about this with Rad the other day, that we're kind of seeing a renaissance of the big man, because for a while there weren't any quality big man, and when we say big man, well, that's centers, 5 spots, 7-footers. Like there was some great power forwards for a while. Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Paul Gasol, Chris Webber. There were a lot of good power forwards, but there were no centers. There was a drought. And it's funny because next we're going to talk about a series where Bam Adebayo and Clint Capella are the best big man in the series, and they're really not big men. They're just tall men. So what did y'all see today in Miami, Atlanta? Pete, was Atlanta a little bit hungover from the play-in tournament, or was it just
typical Atlanta? It's typical Atlanta. They rely on Trey too often, and then when Trey's not technically in a passing mood per se, to where like it's against the Knicks and he knows it's an electric crowd and he can kind of get up for it. He kind of forces a little bit, but Miami has that stifling defense that Trey's not going to be able to get that little mid floater in the paint against Bam. It's just not going to happen. And then you've got Bogdanović, who has been playing really well, who actually has stepped up in clutch moments all season. He shot poorly today as well. 0 for 8 from the floor, only came out with the 6 points from the free throw line. Kevin Huerter was kind of off, but Kevin Huerter has always been a up and down player to me. When the player that steps up the most is DeAndre Hunter, who's not really an offensive top tier guy, who's more of a defensive out there, more for his defense right now than his offense. It's not good for Atlanta. They are missing Clint Capella because of the injury. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that he's probably out for the entire series. John Collins came back; he came off the bench, but John Collins is an offensive guy that he can step out to the 3, but he's more of a can catch lobs, play off of Trey, off of those lobs, get transition buckets and stuff like that. But he's not a rebounding guy. He's not a defensive guy. A Kongu, who I like, is in there defensively, but he's young. And due to past injuries, he hasn't had the playing time that a lot of guys kind of in his position would have gotten more experience to go up against multiple different kind of defenders and learn, other players' games like he would have had he been healthy last season and this season. So I think for the Hawks, they're going to have to buy into Nate McMillan's system of spreading the ball around and playing defense.
Yes.
It's going to be a short series. I had Atlanta winning 2 games just based on Trey and how hot he can get and how quickly he can get, and kind of Miami being like, it's just the Hawks. Like, maybe we can kind of not really take the game off, but kind of take, not have our full throttle, foot on the pedal
The old
kind of thing. But yeah, but when you got Duncan Robinson 8 for 9 from 3 and just playing the pitch and catch game with Bam, it's over.
Yeah. Anytime you have a guy hit 8 threes and miss 1 the entire game, and you lose by, I don't even remember what the final score was. It was just a lot of numbers.
115 to 91.
Yeah, that's, on the one hand, the Hawks could be like, oh, it was that one guy. We got to show him down. It's like, no, you guys didn't show up at all. Like, I mean, and I know, Gonzo, you're really big on dudes with effort and culture. And we know if there's any team in the league that preaches effort and culture, it's Miami Heat. So, are they going to just boss up and say, you know what, let's not sleep. Let's just handle business. And what are their keys to making a deep playoff run? They're the number 1 seed. They're supposed to be the favorite. Like, talk about that. Like, I can't figure this out.
Well, speaking of Miami, they've had a great regular season. They got a lot of key pieces. They got a lot of jump shooting. They have on-ball defenders. They have a great coach, great GM, great owner. All that sounds great. And I think ultimately they will win this series. Trae Young can't carry this load by himself. They don't play defense. They are exhausted from the play-in game. But Miami being a 1 seed, to me, is kind of fool's gold right now. Because that man, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is the beast right now of the NBA. And right now you got to go through him. Can Bam Adebayo stop Giannis? This ain't Giannis from the bubble and the years playing against Toronto. This ain't the same guy.
He's the champ now. He the champ. He got the belt.
The champion, but also too, this guy is starting to knock down jump shots a little bit from 3. This guy from the playoffs last year who was knocking down one-step fadeaway shots, he was hitting them. Like, he's a whole different animal.
And it's reliable at the free throw line, so you can't hack a Giannis.
Can Miami take out Philly? That's going to be the second round matchup.
Absolutely.
That's what I want.
And honestly, and that was something I was going to mention too. Like, man, if Maxey plays like he's supposed to, and Harden plays like he's supposed to, and Matisse Thybulle play defense like he's supposed to, you think Bam Adebayo is going to be able to stop a Joel Embiid?
No.
I don't think so.
Foul trouble coming quick, and then what do you got?
Yeah, dead man is going to be a dead man in the guard.
Yes. So Miami might be in trouble in round 2 before they even get to Giannis. So so I did that whole, like I said, I try not to get. I know historically 1 and 2 seeds are always the best seeds, and they always win championships. But I think that's what I think why the NBA is so fun now, because you can guess a winner.
Yeah.
You just don't know now.
Yeah.
You have to bring your A game to win.
You really have to. I mean, Matt, I know you feel a certain way about this, and I think you're in agreement that the Heat basically have this series, and despite the amount of Trae Young sneakers you have, you admit Miami is going to Mr. Plow all over the Hawks. I mean, you're muted, Matt, so we have no idea what you're saying. But
there we go.
I imagine them sneakers are talking to you in the background. Don't let them talk about us like that, Matt.
That's exactly what they're saying. No, I got the sneakers, but it doesn't matter. I picked Miami to win this series, and I'm going to show you something.
I'm going to spit out my can.
I have one thing here. You see this? Miami versus Hawks.
What you got?
One thing.
Miami D.
Miami's help defense
Yeah.
was fantastic in this
Yeah.
game. Every time Trey gets in, or whether it was Bogey or Kevin Herter, anytime they got inside the 3-point line, the help defense was there.
It looked like they had an extra player at some points. It was like, they have
exactly
on the court.
Exactly. Miami is a better basketball team. I love Trey Young, but Miami's a better basketball team. Pete,
okay.
I saw Pete shake his head when I said, Pete, that help defense, wow.
I mean, that's all you got to do. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's all you got to do with Trey, because Trey's either going to pull the 35-foot three that a lot of times, I mean, yes, it's electrifying when it goes in, but a lot of times that's a bad shot. So you let that go, and then Trey getting in, like I said, he's not going to be able to get to his spot in the lane and get that little tricky floater that he gets, and it's just not going to happen.
And you notice everything for Trey today, whether it was a floater or a 3-point shot, everything was short.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, now you could chalk that up to, okay, yeah, they played or whatever, but Trey, I mean,
yes, maybe.
Come on. As
No,
much.
that's fair. But everything was short the entire game, and yeah, maybe everything was the legs from the other games, but it wasn't short for Duncan Robinson's 8 threes that is now franchise record. He broke the record for Duncan
threes.
Robinson was fantastic today, and I know this. I'm not gonna, look. Our good friend Alana, she's the Miami she's the Miami person. But wow, I don't even think she thought Duncan would do what he did today.
I mean, what on the street they were looking to get rid of him possibly in the offseason, and now it's like he's coming back.
He's living up to the contract.
Yeah. But what I will say with him is Bam was hurt most of the year, and I've gotten pushback before. People are like, well, Duncan should be able to still shoot, but if you're so accustomed to a certain style, it's like the Warriors, like with Draymond.
Absolutely.
You're accustomed to certain looks and certain pockets of getting the ball. Like Dwayne Dedmon's not going to be able to get that for you. Omer, you're at 7's not going to get that for you. Like it has to be a certain chemistry there with Bam. And, yes, you could say that's, a slight maybe on Duncan, but at the same time, just how the offense goes, it's, all day long, you can get that because it's pitch and catch, pick a different spot. There's a video on Instagram to where Duncan Robinson's trying to get a shot off, gets, kind of boxed in the corner, comes back around, gets the ball off a pitch from Adebayo, drains a wide open 3 off the screen and makes it. And I mean, that's just perfect basketball if you're a shooter. Like Matt, just being a sharpshooter, like that's how we get our shots.
That's why I love what I saw from Duncan Robinson today. Look, I put it on Twitter today. Everybody who's watching this, eventually, not now, obviously, because we're not live, we've got it private. But when you're watching this, you see my in parentheses, that's my Twitter. I put on Twitter today, I put a little video of me when I was at the D-League pre-draft camp. It was a bad highlight of me. Turned the basketball over. I absolutely turned the ball over. But that was the same camp. One game. Ivan Johnson, who played for the Hawks. Pete knows Ivan Johnson.
I know who he is.
I put a 3-point shot in his mouth. I couldn't even see the rim. It was from the corner. I put it in his mouth.
Well, I know you didn't talk trash to him because you wouldn't have made it out of the gym.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hey, man. It was so bad, Pete. He's a big ass dude. Excuse my French. There's my one bad language word for the day, Mike. I just I hit the shot and I went down the other side of the court to play defense. He is a cock-swole big dude.
So what you're saying is you weren't going Memphis Grizzlies out there where you hit a shot on someone and you just we talking all the
trash. Mike, I love what you're doing here.
Yes, because you know where I'm going with this.
Hey, that's a great segue. Take it over, Mike.
So, all right. Number one, can the Wolves replicate game 1? I mean, that is as simple as that, dude. Like, is this going to be the second? I mean, because it was the second best game of the weekend so far, without a doubt. Wolves Grizzlies. Can the Wolves replicate this? And do you think Memphis was humbled by all the trash talk, by being the biggest trash talking team that hasn't really done anything yet other than get the second seed.
I feel like Memphis came out sluggish, and that was the game changer from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards, we all know the confidence. Man, we know he's never going to turn down the chance to shine in a big moment.
He's built different.
The question coming in was, what was Karl Anthony Towns going to bring?
Mm-hmm.
And just because he's, obviously he's the mobile big man that, can shoot threes, can get baskets inside if he needs to. Was he going to be able to bring it? And he answered that question pretty quickly. I think what Memphis needs to do, they need to get away from Steven Adams as the big body against Karl Anthony Towns and use Brandon Clark more as the versatile defender. Even Xavier Tillman, yes, he gives up size, but he's able to move a lot quicker. And it's not as bad of a matchup because Adams can even get rebounds. And that's what he's in there for, to play defense and get rebounds. The Grizzlies need more offensive firepower from the perimeter. And I think that's how they're going to match up better with Minnesota in game 2. Minnesota just got a heck of a game from Malik Beasley off the bench. We know he's had his struggles this year. D'Angelo Russell, I think there could be more games in this series where he struggles because he's been up and down all year, but there's also a chance that he could put up 25 points in a game and kind of and really be that second spark or third spark, for the offense. But I want to see more shots for Desmond Bane from the perimeter. I want to see Ja Morant attacking more. And then, like I said, I want to see more minutes for Brandon Clark and less minutes for Steven Adams.
Yeah. I mean, and those are all good like tweaks that I think they'll watch the film and they'll see. Because Steven Adams, he just kind of looked out of place at times in this game. And Gonzo, I know we talked about it last week on the play-in, talking about what it would look like if Karl Anthony Towns had to go against the front line of the Grizzlies. What did you see that was kind of like surprising about what Anthony did and with those changes that Pete suggested? Can you piggyback off that as to what they can do? And is there anything they can do for the Ant-Man? Like,
I'm gonna say like this. Last week, like I said, I'm gonna say it like one of those cartoon villains. My calculations are just as planned. I mean, really, like I told you what would happen with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson. I told you. I think in order for Memphis to, and it's exactly what Pete said, it's the same formula that the Clippers use for slowing Anthony Towns down in the playing game. Tyronn Lue said put a smaller, not a small defender, but a 6'7", 6'6" guy on Karl Anthony Towns.
Center of gravity.
Because one thing with Karl Anthony Towns, what I want him doing the most is if he's not getting points in the paint, he's not really going to have a great game. I would much rather him shoot as many jump shots and threes as you like, because I got a better chance of winning with you playing that way. So if I got a smaller guy on you that can kind of cut you off from getting to the lane that easy, can draw a couple of charges and kind of stay into his body, I'm going to force him to shoot more jump shots. I got a better chance of winning this game against them. So they're going to have to use, like I said, Pete said, Brandon Clark. They're going to have to use him more. You got to use people like Xavier Tillman. They might not be as tall as Karl Anthony Towns, but one thing, their lateral quickness is much better, where they're able to cut him off and kind of keep him from getting to the basket and force him to shoot more jump shots. Anthony Edwards, I mean, I did not expect this guy to be this good in the playoffs, considering this is his first playoff. The man's the real deal. Yeah, he's built different. And looking at his body, he's definitely built different. He's not a small guy.
No,
I mean, he's very strong. He's built like a football player, but he had some very intelligent defensive plays as well. The other day, catching Ja Morant, trying to catch the ball and kind of go up over, and he knocks the ball loose. Like, nah, you're not coming in with that. So
and he's not changed. And he's not, like you said, he's not fazed by the moment. He looked like I've been waiting for this my whole life.
Yes, he's built different. Malik Beasley had a great game. Let's be honest. People dog Patrick Beverly and they don't like him, but he's one of those guys you love him. You love him if he's on your team.
Absolutely.
Hey, he had a very good game. He did what he was supposed to do. Minnesota can win this series, but again, Karl Anthony Towns, if they start putting smaller defenders on him, he has to know how to take advantage of that. D'Lo, I know he's up and down. He's a streak shooter. But if he gets hot, that just pushes them forward to winning this series even more. Steven Adams his feet are too heavy in this series. Jaren Jackson is going to have to do a little more. Desmond Bane is going to have to do more. Like this is going to have to be one of those things where everybody on Memphis is going to have to play a way that they're not accustomed to playing. You got to play a little different. Even Ja Morant, you might not be able to attack that basket all the time. In this series, you might have to knock down some threes.
Yeah. Matt, you want to add anything to that about them being humble?
I'm going to say this.
Told me they was talking trash and they are the most hated team in the NBA for the way they be popping it off.
Well, JJ Redick said it. I mean, Pete, you probably heard the one of the recent JJ Redick, the Old Man in the Three podcast, and JJ Redick straight up said it. Online, offline. I've been told not players who play against them, and players on the Grizzlies, they are the most hated team, and they talk the most shit.
They talk the most garbage.
Yes, they talk the most shit. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it friendly.
Yeah, you just spelling it out for all the kids so they can say, "Hey, mommy, what's that spell?"
Yeah, exactly, man. I didn't say it though, but I love what Memphis is doing. I love what Minnesota is doing. Anthony Edwards.
Woo!
I'm gonna say it now.
It's a bad man.
Chat. Everybody liked it. You can walk it back now if you want. Anthony Edwards is the best basketball player in this series. He's gonna guard.
Woo.
He's confident. The moment does not faze him.
Wow.
He's a stud. Anthony Edwards is special.
Okay.
He's special. We saw it in the playing game.
Yeah, we did.
He came out on fire. What happened in this game? He came out on fire. He does not care. He just wants to hoop. And it bothers me. And Pete, you know this. Remember on draft day or whatever? Oh, he doesn't care about basketball. You remember that, Pete?
Yeah, I remember that quote. Yeah, because he played in multiple. He's like, I can play any sport, and this and that.
And he absolutely can.
Yeah.
He's just built different.
To me, it was always the shot selection because watching him at Georgia, it was like, all right, these are some bad shots. Is this going to carry over the NBA? And obviously, with Chris Finch being an offensive juggernaut coach, puts him in the perfect position, to excel. I think the X factor that we haven't talked about for the series or for game one, at least, Jaden McDaniels.
Yes. That's exactly where I was going.
You take it then. Go ahead.
No, Jaden McDaniels was fantastic. The defense. He was making timely 3-point shots in that game. Yeah, and he did. And if you notice, Pete, he did it in the playing game as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stepped up in big moments.
Where
Jared Vanderbilt kind of has struggled a little bit, and I don't really know about the pairing of him and Towns together. I like the versatility of having McDaniels to knock down the three, get rebounds. He can come off the weak side and block shots, can switch on to smaller defenders and stay on the perimeter with his quickness, whereas Vanderbilt struggles a little bit, I think, with more mental lapses so far. So I like that they have that versatility to bring him in to swap out those power forward minutes.
My question is this. I got a question for you, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Would you continue to bring McDaniels off the bench? I think I would.
I would go for the next game and leave McDaniels coming off the bench and see what Vanderbilt can do, just for the fact that I think that they're going to rely more on Jaren Jackson starting out the game to kind of get him more in a rhythm. And so you want to kind of see what if Jackson's going to play inside, get easier buckets closer to the basket, and then push himself out more to three. If Jackson's primarily doing what he does a lot of the time, which is pulling up from three constantly, then yes, you have to start McDaniels to be able to switch out on him and have an effective defender there. But
absolutely, because he can move his feet. He's long. He's a good player. He's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Bulls. I mean, in switching gears, to the Bulls Bucks. I think the Bulls blew their shot. I'm not going to lie. I have been a longtime Bulls fan, and I've kind of, after the Last Dance, I've taken a step back and realized it's never going to get better than the 90s as a Bulls fan. And I remember how devastated I was when Derrick Rose tore his ACL in the 2012 playoffs. But it hurt today watching the Bulls blow that shot in game one. It's like we've seen enough basketball that we know if you're the underdog and you have a chance to win game one and you let it slip through your hands, you're getting swept. Gentlemen sweep or not, even if you get one game out of the, you losing 5, you're getting swept. So do y'all think the Bulls can hold the Bucks under 90 points 4 more times?
The Bucks kind of hold themselves under 90 points, in my opinion. Yes, I give credit to Alex Caruso, Patrick Williams' versatility defensively, but Zach LaVine ain't guarding nobody. Kobe White's not guarding anybody.
Nope.
Nikola Vucevic is not guarding anybody.
And he's too small.
At the end of the day, like, they took their foot off the gas in the second half after coming out with that, electric first quarter, and really hit the Bulls in the mouth. 34 points in the first quarter. Giannis looked unstoppable. Giannis goes out of the game. What are the Bulls going? 11-0 run?
Yeah.
And really that's when DeRozan started to kind of get going. LaVine showed flashes, but LaVine to me is what he's always been, where it's like he's that gunner scorer that's going to make it look great in small spurts, but he's never going to be able to carry you to a championship with his type of play. I'm not a hater on Zach LaVine.
No.
I just think he's more of a third option on a great team than he is a second option on a good team. They're missing Lonzo badly to get that offensive setup.
It's glaring.
Please, all I'm going to say for the rest of it, because I'm going to leave it to you guys for the rest of it, all I'm going to say, if you're Billy Donovan, please leave Kobe White on the bench and bring in Ayu Dosunmu. Give Dosunmu the minutes. He plays defense, and he can shoot just as decently as Kobe White. So why not use him? He showed good enough poise all season as a starter and as a spot bench player. So use him.
Yeah. I mean, Gonzo, you in Chicago. Just sum it up in one sentence what you saw. Tell me what you saw today out of the Bulls and give me and the many Bulls fans out there some hope that they have a chance in this series.
Well, I don't think I can give any hope. It's just not possible. First of all, they got the wrong dude taking all the shots.
Yes.
With Vucevic, he shouldn't be taking all those jump shots. Kobe White is just he's shot happy. He doesn't play defense. Zach LaVine, I know people in Chicago like Zach because he's able to dunk, and then he has spurts where he looks like a legitimate superstar. But Zach LaVine doesn't play defense as well. He couldn't guard his shadow, and I'm talking about, and that's on the floor. It's just he's not the superstar that I think Chicago needs. If I were the Bulls, I'd think about a trade in the offseason, hopefully sending him somewhere else. If I'm the Bulls, I'll see if I can try to get him to Utah and get Donovan Mitchell. I would try that if I could.
Well, he is a free agent this summer, so
hopefully the Bulls can get somebody like
sign
Donovan
and trade.
Mitchell. Yeah, sign and trade. Get some other pieces because this is not it. And today was the best shot to get a win.
Yeah.
And I think after this close and you didn't pull it off, that was their last shot at the win. Clean sweep, royal flush.
I was texting my mentor, and I have so many family and friends that are Bulls fans, and I text Matt, I was on the phone, and I was like, man, I bet you Matt is looking at this right now, seeing Giannis on the bench with 5 fouls, and seeing Lopez put the nail in the coffin. Just sum it up real quick, man.
Yeah, that's just the reality of things. I agree. This was, and I said this to you. I've texted to a couple of other people. I won't name names. I think I texted to you. I will not name names because I'm not putting them out there. Not saying they agreed or disagreed with me. But My whole thing was I had this in 5. I
Yeah.
figured Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, they'll get the Bulls a game. Gentleman sweep, right? But
Now,
if Patrick Williams can take that next jump, be aggressive offensively, maybe they can get 2. I did not see that today. Either one of those things today. So yeah, it looks like this is gonna probably be a sweep. So I'm
and
not gonna
speaking of
name names, but you know who you. If you're watching, when you watch this, you know who you are. You did tell me it was gonna be a sweep.
and we don't call anybody out if we don't
No,
call
that's
ourselves
not.
out.
No, Mike, that wasn't my point there. Yeah.
Oh, no.
this
I'm
person-
just saying that we don't call anybody out
No, we don't.
because without calling ourselves out as well. And you had them getting the win, and I was on the phone with you like, I don't see it. If they don't win this game, it's over. So speaking of sweep or possible sweep, right now it's 7:30 Pacific time. We're a little bit over an hour and 10 minutes on this one. It's a little bit long because we got a lot of rundown, but just a quick catch up. Phoenix is up by 19 at the half on the Pelicans. So I don't think we need to say anything about that. They may be a little worn out from the tournament, but
yeah, all 3 of the stars are best players. McCollum, Ingram, and Valanciunas are struggling shooting the ball badly.
Yeah, so only 34 points at the half for the Pelicans through 2 quarters. That pretty much sums it up. And so we'll probably have some stuff to say on the next one. But before we get out of here, we want to bring in Radremm, who's been chilling and providing so many hilarious quotes in the Discord. I wish y'all could see some of the things he's been putting in here. Got us dying. And he's going to give us the sneaker rundown for what is out right now that you can cop if you want to hoop or if you just want to style and be the lifestyle. So go ahead. Take it away, Rad. You got 5.
What's up, people? Check it out.
What up?
So 2 main things I wanted to highlight this week when it comes down to the sneakers. One is the Air Jordan 36. I think it is just an amazing shoe. I can't say amazing enough. Matt told me to buy this shoe, and if you know me, you know my favorite Jordan of all time is the Air Jordan 6 black and infrared. So when Jordan brand got to the 31st edition of the shoe, they started taking inspiration from the original. So we knew when it got to the Jordan 36, it would be pretty interesting, and it would be inspired by the 6. And Matt and I were seeing samples of the black and infrared colorway. He said, dude, you got to get it. And I absolutely did. Purchased the shoe, and I couldn't be happier. It is one of my favorite Jordans of all time. And people that know me know that I really focus on the retros. And I can say I haven't liked the Air Jordan shoe this much since the 23. But I want to also add that I play basketball regularly. So I need shoes that are comfortable for me. My body has gotten a little banged up here and there, like playing sports and, other things we won't get into. I definitely, have sustained some injuries. And so for me, it's all about comfort and support at the same time. So this shoe is just everything to me. The upper is like, Matt, is it like a Flyknit material? Oh man, it's so comfortable. My only complaint is I would hate if somebody stepped on my foot in these because
it's not exactly a Flyknit. It's some kind of weave that they took, and it's not exactly a Flyknit. So for anybody who thinks, oh, this Jordan 36 is a Flyknit, no, and you can see it because we got it on the screen right now. That's not a Flyknit sneaker.
I have it in hand. I don't know about weave. Maybe
has it on. Hey, let's get Byron on the screen because he has it.
Maybe not weave, but extensions or something. I don't know what this material is, but
extensions.
It's
I'm not gonna let you compare the Jordan 36 to some bundles.
Well, I'm just gonna say that it's amazing. So I actually convinced a good buddy of mine. If you follow me on Twitter, I convinced a good buddy of mine, Moses. This is who I hoop with daily. I work out, my workout buddy, my hoop buddy. He actually bought a pair the same day Matt and I bought our pair on the release date. I had no clue that he was purchasing them. I happened to go to a gym. He plays in adult league, He's like, check it out, bro. And he showed me on his phone, and he's been playing in them, and he absolutely loves them. And this is a guy who is a Kobe, LeBron fan, grew up in LA through and through. He's didn't really watch Michael Jordan because he was a skateboarder when Michael was playing, so he wasn't really watching basketball. He started around like the early 2000s Lakers run, and he absolutely loves it. He's like, bro, they're so light. He just said, like, you step on my foot, it's like it hurts. But he's like, other than that, same complaint I have. I would also say this, a colorway, interesting enough, a colorway dropped a few days ago. We know it's a Jada. I've seen Jason Tatum playing it. It's like a emerald, like lime green, like color and gold, and they instantly sold out.
Hey, those are coming out on the 28th.
Right. So I guess that was a shock drop, but I'm going to say this too. I mean, I wouldn't wear it if it wasn't St. Patrick's Day, maybe to play ball in, who knows? But I'll say this. The new Jordan models are selling, maybe not like the retros, but they're selling in terms of it being a performance shoe. The younger generation is going back to the newer models to play ball in because it's probably going to be one of the best shoes you can get to play basketball in. Another thing I want to touch on, I know my time is kind of like it's going. I'm trying to get everything in.
Get it in.
Interesting enough, I noticed that Jaylen Brown was playing in the Kobe's. Now, we all know usually he's an Adidas guy, but he was playing in the Kobe's. And this makes me happy. This brings my heart joy because he's keeping that legacy alive. Mm-hmm. Him, especially playing for a rival team to the Lakers, still wearing them. It speaks volume on what that shoe means to the sneaker culture and what a great performance shoe it is.
And Byron, hey, you were the one draft night. What did you say to us on draft night 2016?
I scouted him and I said, this kid is going to be great.
He absolutely did.
But I also add this back to the Kobe's. I knew Jalen Green was going to be good, super athletic, the whole nine. I called that years ago on another podcast. People weren't really in agreement with me. They were hyped on the other guys, whatever. But what I want to say about this shoe, I'm so glad that Kobe's his wife Vanessa reconciled with Nike and worked it out. It's keeping the legacy alive. Years ago, when the Kobe's were being released and that low cut, looking like a soccer shoe, like a cleat almost, I was like, there's no way I'm playing ball in these. Matt was like, bro, it's going to be the perfect shoe for you. The way you play, the way you cut, you're a slasher. You're going to love these. I said, but there's no ankle support. And so Matt brought several pairs, and he gifted me like maybe 3. And I absolutely, positively love the shoe. That's the Kobe 5 with the snakeskin scales, right, Matt?
No, that was the 6.
That's
but
the 6?
I want to jump in here, Byron, because the reason.
Hold on, I absolutely love the Kobe line. Great performance shoe. I'm glad to see the young guys playing it, keeping his legacy alive. And
I'm jumping
that concludes my sneaker rant.
Great job, great job, B. I want to jump in here for the Kobe thing because B knows I had the Kobe 1 when it came out from Nike. I didn't have the 2 or the 3, but I had the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8. And the 4 was the one where they went with the low top. And I said this. The reason Kobe went with that, he said, look, soccer players do the cuts. They do more cutting and all that than basketball players. And that's why he went to the low cut shoe. And I absolutely agree with what Kobe said. The low cut shoe is a great shoe. And Nike absolutely nailed the Kobe line. Performance rise, and I think B being the sneaker guy, both of us we both said, man, look, we love the Jordan line as a performance model and what we're seeing now. But
all right, this is gotta cut you, Matt, because we're pushing a minute. We're pushing an hour 20, and this has been long. We appreciate everybody tuning in with us, hanging on low. We've been recapping all the game ones and even giving you a live update of the beatdown that is happening to the Pelicans now. Want to thank you again for listening to Loop City. I'm your host, Mike Skills. Shout out Gonzo, Coach Matt, Pistol Pete Toole, and Radremm with the sneakers. Until next time, we are out of here.